Legends, welcome back to the channel. John here, and today we are taking a visit to Alton Towers, the theme park resort in Staffordshire, England. It is one of the biggest theme parks in the UK. It's owned and run by Merlin Entertainment Group. They have all sorts of things, Madame Tussauds and the London Eye and Sea Life Centre, etc, etc. And this is one of my favourite theme parks, and we've visited on the third week of May with a group of 3 other friends who I used to work with. This is the main entrance plaza then. We're sort of entering Alton Towers. We've got there, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning. It's an overcast day. It does give some rain for the day that we've got there, but this is us just entering the park through the turnstiles. We got tickets through the Sun newspaper, and it actually worked out about, I don't know, £6.50 each. Normally on the gate price, 50 odd quid. £6.50 each, can't really be going wrong. So the first part of the day then is entering through the theme park, and if you've never been to Alton Towers before, hopefully this is going to give you a little bit of an insight as to what the park looks like. New ride for 2023, The Curse at Alton Manor. It's a reimagining of the haunted house, opening in 1992. Later it became Duel. This is going to be my first time riding the ride today. There's lots of outlets throughout the park, and we have gone left as we have entered the park. There's a few different areas of the park, and the first port of call for us, is to go left. There's a few rides closed this season, and we'll talk about that. But the first ride we're going to do is this, which is the Wicker Man. It's the most recent roller coaster to have opened at the park, replacing the log flume. It is a wooden roller coaster, and it's absolutely brilliant. So we've had a ride on the Wicker Man, and we've come off literally a 5-minute queue. And as you can see from the crowd levels, we're entering a local area called Katanga Canyon now, and there's a few rides in this area. And one thing I can say about Alton Towers, if you've never been before, is it's beautifully themed, lovely and clean, and well looked after. This is the River Rapids. These weren't working at the time that we've gone through this part of the park. And this is the last sort of remaining bits of the log flume that was in this location where the Wicker Man has obviously taken over. But it's sad to see the remnants of the log flume. It was a brilliant ride, but obviously onwards and upwards to better things. We're entering a location now called Gloomy Wood. This is the new ride area, The Curse at Alton Manor. It's a re-theme of the haunted house, also called Duel in later years, where you had to have little zappy guns and zapped zombies. It's quite a well-themed area, and because it's a new area of the park that they're pumping some money into this year, they've got live action actors. This is a man, I don't know what he's doing, but this was my first time seeing the house since it's been reimagined, and there are quite a bit of things that are missing, including the zombies. The zombies in the crypt are now missing. These are some locals, and the queue time for the ride was minimal. I think we walked straight on, actually, and you can see that the entrance plaza that used to be over this crypt has been used now as a walkway to the queue line. Very good. Oh, the monorail's coming through. And there's a shop and some toilets as well. And this is a dark ride. Now, sadly, I can't take you on any of the rides. You're not allowed to film on the rides at Alton Towers. But I had a good chat with the ride operative, who told me all about the secrets. 8 secrets held within this attraction that relates to previous rides, including the log flume. There's a duck in there. Spinball Whizzer, I think, was one. Corkscrew, Black Hole. All previous attractions here at Alton Towers Theme Park. You can get yourself some snacks as well while you're here. There's some cakes and bits and pieces. Let's have a quick look at those. We didn't buy any of those. They were extortionately priced. But good if you fancy taking a little bit of a sit down. Been on the ride then. I thought it was awesome. There were some things in there that I didn't expect. I was used to Duel. It didn't scare me. There was actually a part of that ride that made me jump. So it was very scary at one point. This is just the theming on the exit queue line. And of course, as always, you exit into the gift shop and you could buy yourself a £50 t-shirt. This is a map of the Alton Towers Park. We were making our way towards the Forbidden Valley. Galactica, previously known as Air, a flying roller coaster, is in there. And the Nemesis roller coaster is currently being retracked. To the left of the screen then you'll see what is known as Nemesis Subterra. It is a ride, it's a drop tower ride with a sort of a live action theme. It's currently closed, it's been closed since about 2015. The rumour is that it's being reopened this year and it looks like it is going to be reopened. Heading on the Nemesis observation deck, as I say, they're rebuilding the Nemesis roller coaster and we're having a walk down towards the building site to see what we can see. There's the blade swinging, and there is the queue line for Nemesis Subterra. Again, I'm expecting that to be open very shortly. Looking ahead then, over Forbidden Valley, a nice shot there with the monorail coming past. You can see that the crane is in operation, and they are really working hard to get Nemesis, the roller coaster, back up and running. It won't be running this year, it'll be next season, I expect. Blade then, this is a little flat ride. This is a pirate ship, which is themed obviously to have sharp edges. We then went on Galactica, which is a sort of lay down roller coaster. You're sat down and then you're hoisted into position. This is the loading bay. They call them space ports. I think they've themed it around a space airport. I'm not a fan of the new theming. They did have VR at one point, but that has all been removed. Now, due to being a larger gentleman, I actually had to get off Galactica. They couldn't get me in the seats, which was really embarrassing. I'm quite tall. I'm also quite wide. I'm not proud of that, but I've put on a little bit of weight since we last went, and actually I was too big to fit in the seat. They couldn't get it closed. Can't believe I'm admitting that to the world, but I got kicked off Galactica. So here's me waiting to watch the ride come past and see my friends. There they are, going off into the distance, and I was gutted, to be honest with you, because it is one of my favourite rides. And obviously there's only one person that can work on that situation, and that's me. They've got some temporary rides in the park to help with queue times. This is one, it's called Funk and Fly. These are not rides that are normally at the park, they are temporary. They've been there the past couple of years. This one to help with capacity then, I suppose on a busy day you get a little bit more capacity for people to have a ride. Here's some more of the Blade in action then. Not many people on there today, and actually when we've been, it's been quite a quiet day. Wednesday, sort of mid-May. And then we've gone on to the Congo River Rapids. This is a River Rapids ride, and actually I was allowed to use my mobile phone on here and do a little bit of filming. There's me enjoying it. There's my friend Duncan. There's Andy and Dan as well, and we're going down the River Rapids. It's not as exciting as it used to be. There was a tragic incident a few years ago now at the Drayton Manor theme park where a young girl sadly lost her life. And so they've toned these River Rapids down a bit. Duncan's clearly got a bit wet there with a little bit of water down his back. I'm normally very good at not getting wet on the River Rapids. I've got a little technique. I sit quite far forward in the seat and sort of up on my haunches a little bit, and I've got my bag in the centre. Going backwards then, there's my face after being kicked off Galactica. Not looking proud. Dan's got wet there now. And the ride itself is a sort of 3 or 4 minute ride maybe. I've not actually timed the Congo River Rapids, but it does break the day up. Some people don't like it. They think it's a little bit boring. Now they've toned it down, but I still enjoy it. And one thing you do get to do is interact with the runaway mine train. We didn't get to interact at this point. The train wasn't running, but this tunnel interacts with the runaway mine train and goes underneath the park. Enjoying that then, and we're going out into the sunshine. You can see on the left-hand side the runaway mine train track. Normally you've got to shout at the people. We've been kicked out once for shouting rude words. It started to rain, so we decided to take shelter in the Shark Reef Cove. It's an aquarium, or Shark Bait Cove, one of the two. It's run by the Sea Life Centre, which is again an offspring of Merlin Entertainments that we spoke about at the beginning of this video. And if you haven't been in here, it kills sort of 5-10 minutes of your day. If you've got little ears, it's nice to have that little added bonus that you're able to look at some of the pretty fish and the octopuses and the sharks. Of course, they've got sharks. If you can imagine, going into a sea life centre might normally cost you 15, 20, 25 quid. This is a nice little bonus for your day to see the fish. Now, I'm not a fish expert, so I won't be able to tell you what all of these are. I know there's some tangs in there and some dories. And I know that later on we saw some Nemos. They're obviously clownfish. But yeah, it was nice to see all these pretty fish. And whilst it was raining, there was no rides that you could be going on. They close the rides when it starts to rain for safety reasons. So we took shelter in here, and Dan and I had a look at the fish. Lovely scenes then of these pretty little fish. It could almost be a bit of a screensaver, couldn't it? You know, them Windows 98 screensavers, remember, with the fish. And it's very well themed in here. There's a skeleton there in Skeleton Bay. I think there's some sharks in this tank. There must be, I don't know, 10, 20 little tanks and a big centralised tank that you can actually walk through and have the sharks and the flatfish and everything swimming above your head. As I say, Mrs. John Coupland and I went to The Deep, which is an aquarium in Hull, quite close to where we live, and it was sort of £30-35 for the two of us, and we were in there a couple of hours getting our money's worth, obviously, but this is a nice added bonus, as I say. And there's areas where you've got like a touch tank, so you can experience touching starfish, and the members of staff there help you to make sure you're looking after the fish and not doing something you shouldn't. We just saw a ray go past the flatfish. This is one of the big tanks, and I remember actually as soon as I stopped filming this shot, a great big shark comes past. You can see him in the distance there, and obviously when the shark comes past, all the kids love the sharks. This is a moray eel, and I like big eels like this, and I've never seen one like this. It's a massive one. He's sticking his head out of this piece of rock. And of course, exit into the gift shop. Every ride is exit into the gift shop at places like this. And they've got themed items. You can buy yourself a plush shark. And other sea life related things. Just upsells for the day. I'm waiting here now for my mate Dan. Where is he? Come on, Dan. And then we're going on into the gift shop. This is a ride called the Battle Galleons. It wasn't running on the day that we went. This is like a pirate-themed boat ride. You go round and you can shoot water at people. You crank it and shoot water at each other. One thing about Alton Towers is it's got beautiful gardens as well. We didn't go down into the gardens during the day. However, it is a lovely walk if you fancy just a relaxation halfway through your day. Making our way to the other side of the park then, this is a ride that is my absolute favourite ride at the park. It's called Hex. I'm not going to give too much away if you are going to be going to the park and have never been on Hex. It's more of an experience as opposed to a ride. You go and explore a area behind a bookcase, and you can see that it's closed. Absolutely devastated that Hex was closed. It's been closed all season. Bring back Hex. This is Rita, Queen of Speed. We are in that area where that ride is. There's another ride as well called 13. This used to be called Ugland. I can't actually remember what it's actually called now, but we're heading into the queue line for 13. This is the world's first drop track roller coaster. I haven't given too much away though. You'll still enjoy it. So Rita, that is the Rita fastest roller coaster at one point in the world. It's a launch coaster. It's a very short ride, but the experience is the 0 to sort of 100 miles an hour. You've got the usual Funfair games, carnival games here. You can win yourself a Pikachu's. I didn't have a go at that. I'm not very good at those sorts of things, and I would only be told off if I brought something like that home. The next part we're going into is a new area. This used to be the kiddie area. They've also got CBeebies Land. This is the David Walliams world, and you can see it's just raining a little bit. Dan is getting excited though. He is going to go and pretend to be, I think it's the Queen actually. There's a ride here called Gangster Granny the Ride, and that is an IP that the park I don't know what Dan's doing there. There's a theatre there that used to be the Ice Age Theatre, and there's some little kiddies rides here really. Our main attraction in this area is Gangster Granny, and it's one of those rides that I quite like. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. You go along with Granny and the lad, and you go and steal the crown jewels from the Queen. We're coming out of that ride then. Again, we can't film on the ride, but the queue line is nicely themed. Obviously, we've been caught by the police stealing the crown jewels. They've done a good job with this. It hasn't held up very well, but it's only been open a few years. I think it's a temporary thing. Lots of stuff going to be going into that corner of the park very soon. Project Horizon is coming. And my guess is that it's going to be an indoor roller coaster. There used to be a ride called the Black Hole. And I think it's going to be sort of Black Hole 2.0, which is a roller coaster in the dark. One of the great things about Alton Towers is they do have a castle, a towers, inside the middle of the park. This used to be a Staffordshire sort of stately home, I suppose. 17th century towers, and they have been preserved. They're not, massively restored, but they've been preserved. And you can have a wander around them, and they're closed today. But the park, fair play to them, they do a lot of care with regards to the towers. Arguably the most famous ride in the park now then, this is called the Smiler, a record-breaking roller coaster. When it opened, 14 inversions, and you can see it going round. It was running very well the day we went, running 3 carts, 16 people per cart, so that's 32 people, isn't it, per run. There's the Smiler going down there, it's interacting with another train. I'm not going to discuss the Smiler crash here, but subject to a little bit of controversy a few years ago due to a terrible crash. I'm sure if you want to find out some more information about that and the accident that occurred there, then you can Google that and have a look. There's also a vertical lift hill, and that is the worst bit for me. It makes me feel a bit queasy, this vertical lift hill, but it is a brilliant ride, and obviously I'm going to go on it. I'm an adrenaline junkie. There's nothing I won't go on. I'll put myself on all the rides. You can hear the famous Smiler soundtrack in the background. You can hear the screams and thrills of people enjoying the ride as well. The whole point of the Smiler is that you're inducted into the Smiler. You belong to this machine which is called the Smiler, and it tickles you and it makes you hypnotised and that sort of thing. You belong to the Smiler is the name. That was the loading bay. This is the end, and even the queue line out of the ride is quite disorientating. And of course you go into the shop. Back out of the Smiler then, back out of the X sector, and we're heading on down to go and grab ourselves some dinner now. It's sort of 3 o'clock, the park closes at 4, and we're into the area where the runaway mine train is. We saw that earlier when we were on the River Rapids. Pizza and pasta place, food is terrible, it's 15 quid, all you can eat, you get a drink as well. It's warm and it's wet. There's the River Rapids going round then from the bank. Nobody on that one. And that's pretty much it for our day. We didn't manage to go on a ride called Oblivion. There were some areas that we didn't look at during the day, such as the Spinball Whizzer, which is to the east of the park. That is mainly for younger guests and younger children. There's an area called CBeebies Land. CBeebies being sort of British cartoons, and in UK children's cartoons and programmes. They've actually got a restriction on there now that unless you're with a child, you can't enter the CBeebies Land. Obviously I've got no reason to go to CBeebies Land, but there is some rides in there that you'll be able to look on YouTube and have a tour if you want to bring some littlies. We're leaving the park then. This is an area called Mutiny Bay. It's really well themed, this area, and I think this is sort of ye olde theme park. It's probably one of the oldest parts of the park that hasn't been refreshed. It's themed around pirates, and there's a couple of rides in here. arcades and toilets. And plenty of areas where you can win yourself a cuddly toy and buy yourself a kebab as well. You can see here there's a ride called Marauders Mayhem. We're heading towards that. It's effectively a teacups ride, but themed to wooden barrels. And I don't think all the years that myself and Mrs. John Coupland and I have been going to Alton Towers, we've never been on this ride. Yeah, I don't know why, actually. We should have gone on this, but we've never been on it. It's like a teacupsy waltzers sort of ride. What can you do here? There's some little drive-your-own pirate ships. And I think there's like a mini pirate ship for kiddies as well that we'll see in just a moment's time. So overall then, parking for one vehicle was £7. Obviously we split that between the four of us. Lunch was £15. Our tickets were £6.50. So what, 30 quid? 30 quid for a day out at Alton Towers, and then obviously we're factoring in petrol. It's a couple of hours away from where I live. And the park was open 10 until 4 when we went. A couple of rain showers when we were there, but nothing that caused all the rides to close. It was a good old day. If you've enjoyed the video, thanks for watching. If you could give me a like and a subscribe, that'd be awesome. What would you be going on? Have you been on any of the rides at Alton Towers? What's your favourite? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, have a great day, whatever you're getting up to. Thanks for coming along with us for a day out at Alton Towers in the UK. Plenty more content on the channel. Until next time then, have a wonderful day, stay safe, and check out some of the other things on the channel. Goodbye.